Gilbert Arenas, President Trump, former Vice President Kamala Harris, and the former First Lady Michelle Obama. How in the hell do those four individuals capture my attention in the same damn show? I'm about to show you right now. Stephen A. Smith Show in the house while still on vacation. Holla at your boy. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the special edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show. You know I love usually coming at you at the very least 3 times a week over the digital airwaves of YouTube, of course, and I certainly will revisit that in the weeks to follow. Make no mistake about that. I've just been on vacation for a little while, enjoying myself with my daughters and all of that good stuff, them running me ragged and everything like that. I can't wait to tell you what they've got me doing in the days and the weeks to come. I can't wait to tell y'all about that. But before I even get to any of that, I just wanted to come off of my hiatus for a little bit to touch on a couple of issues, primarily because in at least 2 occasions my name was mentioned. And why not? I mean, I kind of miss doing the show. I can't wait till I get back at action on a regular basis doing the show. And that's what I'm going to do right now. I got a whole bunch of stuff to get into today. Former First Lady Michelle Obama, former Vice President Kamala Harris, present day president number 47, the one and only Donald Trump, and some of the stuff that he's doing. More Jeffrey Epstein stuff to touch on. All of that is coming up. But not before I get into the first topic that I feel compelled to discuss, and that is involving former NBA standout, Mr. Gilbert Arenas, of Gil's Arena, of course. As you probably have heard, the former NBA star was arrested Wednesday and is accused by the Department of Justice of being a part of a high-stakes illegal gambling ring that ran out of one of his California homes. He is facing a federal indictment on account of conspiracy to operate an illegal gambling business, 1 count of operating an illegal gambling business, and 1 count of making false statements to federal investigators. According to the Justice Department, Arenas rented out an Encino, California mansion to host illegal poker games. Arenas faces up to 5 years in prison on each charge if convicted. After this came to light, Arenas had a live stream going where he brought, of all people up, he brings up me, yours truly, Stephen A. Smith. Listen to what the brother had to say.
Hey, Stephen A., man, we got to talk, brother. Because it ain't a damn coincidence that everybody you know going to church. Hey, Stephen, huh? Everybody, man. Everybody, like, damn. Y'all see that? Everybody. What? No, I ain't saying, no. I ain't saying, nobody snitch. I'm just saying, hey, man, you know how to pick 'em. Hey, Stephen, you know how to pick 'em, man. I'ma just be honest. It's like the Madden curse, just the other way around.
Now, look, he's obviously playing around and all of that other stuff, and I get it. Because we all know, we're not blind. We know what's been in the news. Shannon Sharp has been in the news. Marcus Morris Sr. has been in the news. Now Gilbert Arenas has been in the news. I get all of that. I wished them fellas nothing but the best. As far as I'm concerned, I wish every single one of them was on First Take now with no issues whatsoever. Because I got love for all of them brothers. But I'm going to address what Gilbert said, because here's what alarmed me. I've gotten to know Gil a little bit. I respect the hell out of him. First of all, I think he's a brilliant basketball mind. Let's get that out the way first. I think Gil's Arena is a hell of a podcast, hell of a basketball show. Let's get that out the way. He's very excitable, very knowledgeable, and we know that about him. And in light of what he's being accused of, however, I'm still going to say to Gil, bro, I need you not to play around. Because my brother, I don't want to see you in jail at all. It's not a good look. It's nothing to laugh about. It's nothing to joke around about and think it's funny when the feds come raiding your home. I don't want to see that. I don't want to hear about anything like that. I can assure you, anybody that wants to do business with you, and I'm one of those people, ESPN, Underdog, a whole bunch of sponsors and advertisers, we don't want to see that. Anybody that knows anything about you and your knowledge of the game and your ability to articulate and deliver your positions, my brother, you are a special talent. We don't want to see that. And the reason why I felt compelled to come on the airwaves and address you directly is because I want to remind you of what really, really got you in trouble in the NBA to begin with. Remember that years ago? With Javaris Critterton, remember all of that? With the guns in the locker room, remember all of that? Remember all of that happened? And you remember what really got you in trouble thereafter, because as bad of a look as that was, and as much as former Commissioner David Stern and others were ready to bring the heavy hand down upon you, what really exacerbated the situation is that you had a game a night or two later against the Philadelphia 76ers. I would know because I was there. And you were joking around, feigning as if you were shooting guns when the introductions or the warm-ups were taking place. I don't remember exactly what it was. And David Stern went ballistic. It was like, somebody like you has no place in this league because it's not a joking matter to other people. And the reality is that, my brother, it shouldn't be a joking matter to you. 5 years on each count. I know we saw Diddy get off on a major charges in terms of sex trafficking and racketeering, but it's still possible he can do some time. That's why he's in the news and with President Donald Trump talking about pardoning him, according to sources. Because it seems to be that that's what's going to be required in order for him to evade spending significantly more time in jail, like 5 to 10. On each of the charges that have been levied in your direction, each comes with 5 years in prison, if convicted. It's not a laughing matter. It's not a laughing matter. And especially since the Southern District of New York essentially blew the case against P. Diddy in terms of overcharging, per se, being a bit zealot and aggressive with it, and ended up turning off a jury which got Diddy off on the major charges. Who's to say that the feds are going to make that mistake again? If anything, all of them are on high alert, making sure that their I's are dotted and T's are crossed, and they're locked in on making sure they get your ass, because they don't want to repeat of what happened to the P. Diddy case happening to them. This is not a game. It's not a game. It's not a game when the feds come knocking at your door and put you in cuffs and take you away. Yeah, you out. And I hope you stay out. And I hope all of this is false. And I hope that you're able to continue with Gilbert Arenas and then some, because, my brother, you got a bright future. And me personally, I think you're a good brother. I'm not here to denigrate or disrespect you. I'm here to tell you, because I care. Stop messing around. Stop with the jokes. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about you being seen on camera laughing and giggling and smiling like federal charges ain't a big deal. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. And spending a day in jail, to me, is serious. We all want to preach about freedom and being mavericks and being innovative, or rather not innovative, but really minding our own future and directing our own path. We all want to talk about this. But the reality is that it's fool's gold. You looking for me to get into other people and their personal business? No, I'm not doing that. You looking for me to have a smile on my face like some no good bastards who have podcasts laughing at people's trials and tribulations, wanting them to fail because nothing in your life is winning? I'm not doing that. I'm not going to be that kind of person. To any of the names I mentioned or anybody in the future, I don't enjoy seeing people fall. I want us all to eat. I want us all to live well. I want us all to be successful. I'm not that dude. But I'm telling you, it's incredibly important that you understand this is not a game. I assure you, Adam Silver, the commissioner, doesn't look at it as a game. I assure you, executives at linear networks who are looking at your talent, highly attracted to what they were seeing you put out, they don't think this is a game. And yes, it is unfair that in this day and age in our society that prided itself from a constitutional perspective about being innocent until proven guilty, in a court of public opinion, unfortunately, it's reverse. You are guilty until proven innocent. That's what you are in a court of public opinion. It ain't right. It sucks. But it's reality. And because that's a reality, treat it with the seriousness that it deserves. Don't remind people of how you can joke around like you did when you were playing in the NBA. In the immediate aftermath of that Javaris Critterton thing. Don't remind us of that. Lock in, get focused, and understand. There's a lot of people that were looking at you and were saying, yo, this brother is the future. He's a big part of what's coming down the pike. He's special. And in a nanosecond, they said, bump that. We ain't got time for that. It's not a game. It's not a game. I'm not taking offense. I know you were joking around when you talk about me. I'm not worried about that. But it hasn't escaped me. Of the things that I've seen in the news and the things that I've had to speak about and the things that I've avoided speaking about. But indirectly, I'm involved because I've worked with a lot of people. And it's hard because you love cats and you support them and you believe in them. But it doesn't take away the seriousness of their situation and how folks above you end up making calls that are above your pay grade. Because they have to think about the overall brand and not just my show or my podcast or anything like that. And Gilbert Arenas, you now finding yourself in that position. Because I assure you, sitting around, joking around about it, ain't the way to go. It's not a good look. When you're serious and you're locked in, there's few on this planet smarter than you, bro. When you're serious and locked in. Now, when you're fucking around and acting like it's a joke. 5 years on each count, bro. Even if they said a year, that's 365 days. That you encased in a cell and they shut that door. Or they shut that damn cage. And they lock your ass in there and you can't leave. It's not a joking matter. It isn't. Other things in life are far more innocuous than a situation like this. But it's serious from a business perspective. And that would be the situation involving Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons of the Dallas Cowboys put out some tweet basically saying, thank you, Dallas, indicating to a lot of people that he's done, that things are not working out between him and Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys for his negotiations. I'm not happy about this. I'll be the first to admit it. I think Micah Parsons is special. You're talking about one of the elite pass rushers in the game of football. 12 sacks over the last 12 sacks each season over the last 4 years. The only person that's done it in the first 4 years, 5 years of their career was Reggie White in NFL history. This brother's a stud. And I think it's disgusting that Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones are putting him through what they're putting him through, knowing that this is a brother that wants to stay. He was a brother that was willing to take less had you signed him earlier. He had no problem with any of that. And still you turned around and you made him wait and you made him wait and then you made him wait. And then on top of it all, you, Jerry, and you bringing up Dak Prescott comparisons because you paid Dak Prescott, made him the highest paid quarterback in football, even though his ass only won 2 playoff games for you in his entire career. And then he goes out, gets hurt, and misses the last 9 games of the season. You sitting around talking about, listen, you see that? I'm paying guys and they ain't even available. That ain't Micah Parsons' problem. He didn't do that. That's not what he did. So if that's not what he did, what's that comparison about? Then you're looking at some of these guys. Des Bryant, July 15th, 2015, 5 years, $70 million. But that was after an ugly holdout. Ezekiel Elliott, September 4th, 2019, 6 years, $90 million, $50 million guaranteed. That was after a lengthy holdout. Right guard, Zach Barnes, August 14th, 2023, 2 years, $36.85 million, all guaranteed. That was after a holdout. CeeDee Lamb didn't sign until August 26, 2024, 4 years, $136 million, $100 million guaranteed. That was after a holdout. And of course, Dak Prescott, September 8th, 2024, 4 years, $240 million, $231 million guaranteed. If you remember, CeeDee Lamb missed all 4 weeks of the California portion of last year's training camp while trying to get his current deal. It contributed to him getting off to a slower start to the season than he would have liked. Does Jerry and them care? No. Your defense, what's it going to be without Micah Parsons? Probably not as good. Does Jerry Jones care? I'm not sure. What does Jerry Jones say? Made some interesting points about Parsons related, Sunday night while talking to Fox 4 in Dallas. What does he say? Micah Parsons, he's getting paid, Jones says. He gets about $20 million right now, and that's a pretty easy $20 million standing there watching practice out there at the same time. But then when asked if he was disappointed that Parsons is not out there, he said, not really, because I don't want him to get hurt. So what is the strategy? Hold off on negotiations, keep him out of training camp so he doesn't have to show up to training camp and get hurt? Never mind that it compromises their ability to be at 100% once the season starts, and then you wonder why you start off so slow and you end up struggling and you don't win. But nothing was more egregious than Stephen Jones when he says that you got to want to get paid. I like Stephen Jones. I respect him. Okay? But in all honesty, somebody that was born on third base shouldn't be saying that about an athlete that scratched and clawed their way to one of the tops at their profession. Stephen Jones was born on third base. Your daddy is the only reason you are a chief operating officer in the National Football League. That is a fact. So to say something like that about Micah Parsons is just low. He doesn't deserve that. He never deserved that. I'll tell you, though, Micah Parsons isn't completely absolved from any of this because Micah Parsons did have something to do with it. Because why'd you open your mouth and say you take less and to stay in Dallas last year? He should have never said that. Now, I know there was reasons to it, and I got that, but he still shouldn't have said it because it put him in a compromising position for negotiations. But to get back to Jerry, here's another part that we got to say is low. Yo, bro, how you going to sit up there? My Libra buddy, everybody knows I love Jerry Jones. I can't stand the disgusting, nauseating fan base that is the Dallas Cowboys, but it's all in fun. I'm just trolling them just like they troll me. It's all fun. Where it doesn't become fun is when I see stuff like this happening, when Jerry Jones is talking to Micah Parsons and there's no issue until he gets his agent involved. So what that means is you're Jerry, an astute businessman, spanning decades, made billions being a businessman, obviously helped the Dallas Cowboys still remain the number one sports brand around. All they're worth over $10 billion, $11 billion. And knowing this, you're going to sit up there knowing your history and how adroit you are at business, at negotiations. You're going to sit around and hold it against Micah Parsons for getting his agent involved? You know he's not ill-equipped. He's not equipped to negotiate against you. And on top of it all, not only is that true, but most instances when you're an executive, you don't even want talent in your face. You encourage them to go get their representation. So why would you then sit there now and insist that his agent not get involved, or lament rather his agent getting involved? Because you want to take advantage of him. You want to be unfair. You want to be the big bully on the block. It's reasons like this why the Dallas Cowboys have not won a Super Bowl in 30 years, why they haven't been to a Super Bowl in 30 years, why they haven't won an NFC championship game in 30 years, why they haven't been to an NFC championship game in 30 years. It's reasons like this that are why. It's not just about your performance on the field. It's about the culture that influences the performance. When you compromise the culture, you compromise everything. Good luck, Dallas. Still got Dak Prescott. He still has CeeDee Lamb and an additional weapon in Pickens. They're going to throw that football no matter what they say. We're going to run it more. We're not going to throw as much. You think Jerry Jones went out and acquired George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb was begging for some help at another wideout spot? You really think they did that to run the ball more? They're going to throw it. And we're going to see what Dak does. We're going to see. Coming up, the former First Lady of the United States had her IMO podcast session with her brother and a few others. And of all the people that came up, she decided to mention me. I, Stephen A. Smith, and the First Lady, up next, right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Don't go away. Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show. Before I move on to my next subject, just revisiting Gilbert Arenas for one more quick moment. I just want to sit up there and say I'm not casting any aspersions of guilt or anything like that. I don't know what the hell is going on. I hope that he is innocent of everything that he has been accused of. I got love for the brother. Yeah, I really, really do. And I'm wishing him nothing but the best. But when you're on the outside looking in on people's personal life, hey, peeps, what can you do? You don't know, you don't know. You know, I got people working with me. I got people working for me. I got people that I'm around a lot. They don't know every little thing about my life, and vice versa. That's the reality. Let's stop acting like everybody know everything about everybody. All you could do is give the benefit of the doubt, especially to the people that you love and got some love for, and wish them nothing but the best. And I got love for all of those cats I talked about or mentioned in the first segment. I don't give a damn what anybody says. I'm not saying anything beyond the fact that I got love for them, and they're going to always have somebody like me to lean on if they need me for anything, within reason, of course. But I'm going to always try to look out. That's just the way it is. It's just the way I am. Now, let me move on, because the former First Lady, Mrs. Michelle Obama, talked about moi. It just so happens that yours truly came up on her IMO podcast, which she hosts with her brother Craig Robinson. While discussing the battle for the remote in her house with sports versus reality TV, she compared ESPN to Bravo and me to the face of the network, Andy Cohen himself. Take a listen to this.
This is where I want to educate my brother and even my husband who will be listening. Culture is king.
Yeah,
you know?
culture is
king. The truth is like they razz me about my love of reality TV and the Real Housewives. I watch it all.
You watch it all?
All of it. They think that sports is better reality TV. I was like, it's the same thing. There's drama in sports.
There's so much drama.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, if I listen to ESPN for an hour, it's like watching the Real Housewives of Atlanta.
That's
you
right.
know?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's the same drama and they're yelling at each other and they don't get along. You know, I mean, Stephen A. Smith, he's just like every other
he'd
talk
be a
show
great
host.
Real Housewife.
He would be.
Right.
It would be amazing.
So that's why I'm like, what's the difference? It's just, you know, it's just sociological drama. I mean, the fact that people over seasons of working together still can't get along.
Right.
They still have the same arguments, you know, and it's not just women, but this happens in sports too.
Right.
I find it fascinating.
You know, it's the former First Lady in the United States of America. Somebody that I personally revere and believe to be the greatest First Lady in American history. That's my personal opinion, and I stand by it. Smart, very attractive, highly intelligent, very accomplished, wonderful values and morals. As far as I'm concerned, she's the closest thing to perfection I've ever seen from a First Lady in the White House. That's just how I feel about it. No disrespect to the great Nancy Reagan and, you know, Jackie Kennedy and all these other folks in between. Barbara Bush, everybody else. It wasn't Michelle Obama, not to me. Okay? So, first thing I want to say is, thank you for watching. I really appreciate that you watched First Take. You tried to deny it, but you know you wouldn't know I'm so loud if you wasn't watching, because you ain't making that judgment just watching me once. You know you watch First Take. You know it. You know you know it. You know your husband watches it too. I appreciate the fact that I'm known in the Obama household. I'm touched by that. I actually am touched. Okay, so let me get that out the way first. Secondly, though, to your brother Craig Robinson, you know I got love for you, my brother. I haven't seen you in a while. All the best to you, my man. Can't wait to see you down the line. Number three, I would like to see you, Madam First Lady, Mrs. Michelle Obama. I would like to see you have some people on your podcast with dissenting opinions, dare I say. That would be nice. So they could have an opportunity to clap back if you say something. It just would be nice, you know. I mean, I'm just saying. Fourth, Andy Cohen, ain't no shame in being compared to him. That's the face of Bravo. He created all those reality shows. He's a highly, highly successful individual. You understand? Who's beloved by millions of people out there. So for me to be compared to him, there's no shame in that. Okay? That's number four. Number five, however, with all seriousness, Michelle Obama, I want to take this opportunity to remind you that while you are revered by me personally, and I truly, truly mean that with the greatest sincerity, I'm still a bit salty at you. When you were campaigning on behalf of the former Vice President Kamala Harris, who I'll get into in a minute, by the way, and you were giving a speech, I believe it was in Detroit, if I remember correctly, but I'm not sure. It was in the middle of the day. It was carried live. You said a vote for Trump was a vote against you and a vote against y'all as women. I want to state for the record, I took major offense to that. Black men don't just love our black women. We revere y'all. You've practically raised most of us. Think about the most hardcore individual you can find who is a black man from the streets of America. If there is one person who can walk up to him and slap him silly and get away with it, it's his mama or his grandma. It's who we are. And to say what you said back then, I think to this day is the only thing that I didn't like that you said. I didn't appreciate it. Because there's so many things that go into deciding where your vote is going to go. For some people, it's all about the economy. For others, it's all about national security. For some people, it is immigration. For some people, it's safety in the streets of America. Long before they think about pro-choice or pro-life. I'm talking about men. There's a reason why Trump got about 57% and Kamala Harris ended up with 42, even though Biden had won the young male vote 4 years earlier. Because life changes and other issues become more pertinent to people. Now, I voted for Kamala, even though I wouldn't vote for Trump. I wasn't excited about voting for Kamala either, particularly after I heard about some of the shenanigans that the Democratic Party was engaging in leading up to the election. But I'm talking specifically to you, Madam First Lady. You are not just beloved, you are revered. You are sensational in so many ways. I've been on the record on this show and many others stating, had you run for president, you would have beat Trump. I still believe that. If Trump somehow manages to circumvent the 22nd Amendment, which I don't put past him, and Steve Bannon and others, and he tries to seek a third term, I believe if your husband elected to come back, he would beat Trump. That's my personal belief. But you, who never was an elected official and never aspired to, could easily, I wouldn't say easily, but you could win an election. You didn't run. So this doesn't have anything to do with what you were talking about, how sports and reality TV mirror one another, even though we would beg to differ, because a lot of things on reality TV are made up situations and scenarios to provoke reactions and all of that stuff, whereas sports, that's live entertainment and you're actually competing against one another is big time. No, reality TV is not like that. You're so wrong about that assertion. But that's neither here nor there. I just saw this as an opportunity, since you brought my name up, for me to bring your name up and to tell you, while you are profoundly respected and revered by me, I adore and love practically everything about you and who you are and what you represent, what you mean to this country, what you mean to so many young ladies in this world. What an incredibly motivational and inspirational figure you are. You will never hear me utter a negative word about you, but I respectfully disagreed and still remain pretty salty about what you said about us. And I feel even more adamant about what your husband, Barack Obama, said when he talked to those men in Pittsburgh and implied that to not vote for Kamala is because we're engaging in some sort of misogyny. There are issues that matter to every American citizen. And to sort of blackmail us emotionally into trying to compel us to vote one way or another is part of what won Trump the election. Because that side of the aisle was able to look at the left and say, look at what they'll do to win. And y'all talking about him like he's worse. And in a lot of y'all eyes, he is worse. But that didn't make y'all clean. It really, really didn't. Now let me move on to former Vice President Kamala Harris. I respect you, Michelle Obama, and I revere you. But I just needed to say what I just said before I got to Kamala Harris. Moving on, from the former First Lady to the former Vice President, Kamala Harris has been in the news in the last few days. She announced the upcoming release of her book, 107 Days, a behind-the-scenes look at her historic but unsuccessful presidential run. She also says she will not be running for governor of California and has no current plans to re-enter the quote-unquote broken system, end quote, of American politics as things stand now. I am very, very happy that the former Vice President, the former Democratic nominee for the presidency of the United States of America, has declared that she has no intentions of running for the gubernatorial seat in California, and in all likelihood that she's not planning to return or to re-enter the broken system of American politics. And the reason I'm happy is because I didn't want to see her lose again, because she'd lose. California's not high on Newsom, and as a result, they're not high on most folks on the left side of the aisle. This guy Caruso is everybody's name. It's in everybody's. Is the name that's coming out of everybody's mouth. Businessman, real estate guy, if I remember correctly. Somebody that folks believe will do better for the city and for the state of California. But when we get into Kamala Harris, we're not going to insult and denigrate her like folks on the right tend to do, questioning her intelligence and insulting her with name calling and all of this other stuff. No, we're not going to do that. But what's undeniable is the fact that she's not the most popular Democrat out there that people gravitate to. The Dems did everything that they could in those last 107 days to give that impression. But the reality is that the reason why she only had 107 days is because they didn't have any faith that had she arrived on the scene sooner, that she could warrant winning the Democratic nominee, which gets me to my point as a person who has spent a vast majority of my life voting Democrat. The one thing that I do like about the right is that the constituency out there is the one who clearly picks the candidate they want. The right did everything they could to get their constituents to pick a Ron DeSantis, a Marco Rubio, a Ted Cruz, a Carla Fiorini, a Nikki Haley. I mean, over the years since 2015, 2016, that's all they've done. The right, in terms of the voters, said, y'all kiss my ass. We want Trump. We don't care what you have to say. And Trump was their guy. In 2016, it was Hillary's turn. In 2018, it was Biden's turn. In 2024, it was Kamala Harris's turn. So determined, the insiders, the folks connected and with the influence and the cachet to position her accordingly. Never mind what the public wants. That's the problem. I told y'all a year before Biden went on that stage last June 27th, 2024, against Donald Trump and looked like a shell of himself. Looked, as one commentator said, like an old man in a nursing home waiting for his applesauce to be fed to him. That was bad. That's how bad he looked. A year before that, I said, he looks finished. And what did y'all do? Y'all kept parading him out there. One event after another. One of the most embarrassing things, two embarrassing things stood out with me. One was when the Democratic Party stood up at the State of the Union chanting for 4 more years for a guy that was approaching his 81st birthday, which was embarrassing. The other was when you had one of those events outside on a White House lawn and you saw them playing R&B music and some hip hop music and black folks dancing around and you got him standing out there like he know what to do. He didn't know what to do under those circumstances in his 50s. How the hell he's going to know what to do in his 80s? Thinking that this was going to influence people positively. It didn't. And you did all of that when you could have easily gave Kamala Harris the spot, but you didn't. Because the same former vice president was the same presidential candidate in 2020 that couldn't make it to Iowa and wasn't popular enough to go through a primary. So the skids were greased. And she ended up being a nominee. And then she lost. Period. And in light of that, I hope she makes a boatload of money with this book. I hope that she, does a tell-all and she breaks it down and this nets her millions upon millions upon millions of dollars. Because I hope y'all don't think for 1 second that she's got a chance to win in 2028. She doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell. There is no way America will pick Kamala as a Democratic nominee for the presidency of the United States in 2028. It won't happen. It just won't happen. It's too much there to hold against her. They're not going to do it. She had a chance to win a gubernatorial seat in California, I believe. But evidently, through her research, she found out that may not have been the case, or that was a job that she didn't want, or a combination of both. Hey, the presidency ain't happening. I told y'all my choices: Westmore out of Maryland, Josh Shapiro out of Pennsylvania. Those are 2 names that come to mind. But there is no definitive national voice for the Democratic Party, which is why they keep mentioning me. Hell, I saw a Republican pollster, Frank Luntz, even though he might not describe himself as a Republican pollster anymore. He brought up me, Joe Rogan, Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban is an interesting name. I don't think Joe Rogan is interested. He moonlights as a comedian. He does an outstanding job calling UFC fights, and he's the godfather of podcasting. He don't need this. It's a rat race. It's an ugly game. And I don't need it either. So don't worry about me. I like my life. Even though I keep my options open, because sometimes I do get pissed off and sometimes I do salivate for the opportunity to be on a debate stage with some of these people. Not to be in office, but to be on a debate stage with these people. I'll admit it. But then you see the kind of stuff that happened and how the skids were greased to position their preferred candidate for a nominee for the presidency of the United States. The American people didn't make that choice. But we boarded hook, line, and sinker because we were told we didn't really have much of a choice. And it almost worked. Something to reflect upon and think about, because when we think about Kamala Harris, that's what we have to think about. This is not about insulting her, denigrating her in any way. It's about highlighting the facts of the situation that transpired while she was vice president running for the presidency of the United States of America. And when you go on a View and you're asked a question, a softball question by Sonny Houston, would you have done anything differently than Joe Biden? I really can't think of anything. You lost the election right there. You're not overcoming that. And guess what? An AOC, a Jasmine Crockett, a Bernie Sanders, they ain't going to overcome it either. There has to be some new blood, and the Democratic Party is running out of time to find somebody. I'm telling you that right now. But thank goodness we don't have to worry about Kamala Harris being perceived as the person that's going to do it, because she wouldn't win. Go away from politics. Make your money. Be a voice for the voiceless. Go out there and speak. But running for office, no. Ain't nobody buying that. Ain't nobody buying that. Up next, the president and more Jeffrey Epstein nonsense. This time, courtesy of one of Jeffrey Epstein's primary enablers. Trump pardons and then some. Who the hell knows with this guy? But we'll talk about it right now on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Don't go away. Back with more in a minute. Welcome back to Stephen A. Smith Show. Before I get on out of here, a couple of things that I have to talk about. One is involving Donald Trump, president. The other is involving my daughters. No relation whatsoever. Let me get to the president first. Donald Trump, as usual. There's plenty to discuss. The Jeffrey Epstein saga continues. As Ghislaine Maxwell was transferred to a less restrictive minimum security prison after her recent meeting with the DOJ, amid clamoring for her attorneys about a pardon from Trump. The president has not ruled out such a pardon, by the way, nor has he ruled out a pardon for P. Diddy. But that's a story for another day. Trump also fired the Commissioner of Labor Statistics early today after the release of a weak jobs report that showed hiring has slowed down significantly over the past 3 months. Trump called the data rigged and claimed the country's jobs reports are being produced by a Biden appointee trying to make Republicans look bad. Mr. President, some accountability would be nice. Just a little bit. If the jobs report, if they were projecting that there was about 113 jobs that was going to be generated in the month of July, and it only ended up at being like 73 to 75,000, it came up precipitously short. And your response is to fire the Commissioner of Labor Statistics. So in other words, anytime you see something that you don't like, they got to go. Here's where it gets suspicious, because whoever replaces the Commissioner for Labor Statistics, anything favorable that they say about Trump, are you saying it just so you can garner favor with the president? Or you're able to avoid the wrath of the president? Is that what it is? I'm just wondering, because it's an important question that deserves to be asked. What are we doing here? You know, this is when people talk about authoritarian rule and stuff like that. Anything that he finds unfavorable, folks got to go. That means you want to grease the skids yourself and you want to manipulate things. That's problematic. That's number one. Number two, considering how Ghislaine Maxwell was sentenced to 20 years in prison because of her actions in assisting Jeffrey Epstein engaging in disgusting, salacious behavior with young girls. Ghislaine Maxwell, after talking to the DOJ, suddenly gets placed in, dare we say, a softer prison. A little bit more mobility allowed, a little bit more spacious, a little bit more freedom. So there is an Epstein list. And there is a lot that she can say. And there is a lot that she has to say. And if you're talking about potentially pardoning her, it does beg the question, what does she have on you? There's no way around that. I'm not saying she does. That would be irresponsible for me to say. But it does beg that question. Because why would you even think about pardoning her? Unless for one or two reasons. You're protecting yourself or you're protecting others close to you that may have looked out for you, that are insisting on your protection. Either way you slice it, that just gives fodder to the Steve Bannons, the Candace Owens, the Tucker Carlsons of the world and others. That's all it does. And it'll be real interesting to see how they react to it. It'll be real interesting to see what kind of impact, if any, this has on the midterms. And some of the members of the GOP who are supportive of you keeping this list away from the eyes of the American citizen. Now, there are GOP members that have clamored for the Epstein files to be released. And credit to them for doing so. The Democrats, I don't particularly want to hear that because you had an opportunity to release it for 4 years when Biden was in office and you never brought it up then. So don't talk to me about it now. But it's going to be real interesting to see. Either way you slice it, I mean, a minimum security prison that immediately follows a meeting with the DOJ, it smells to the high heavens. But again, like I told y'all before, I'm not surprised. It's how it goes. I'm not surprised. Last but not least, I want to tell y'all about something that's going on right now. And it's about me and my daughters. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a hellacious month. I mean, I was gone, but I was on daddy duty, you know. And they wrecked my life. Now, you driving us, you taking us here, you're cooking for us, you're doing this, you're doing that. I had no rights whatsoever. I got it. I understand. It's funny to y'all, ain't funny to me. But I will tell you this. I love them to death, so this is what you have to do. This is what comes with fatherhood from time to time. You know what's not supposed to come with fatherhood? Particularly with teenage daughters 1 year and 2 years removed respectively from college. You know what's not supposed to come with fatherhood? Love Island. What the hell is this show? I cannot believe how people are going crazy over this. I was in the Grove in LA and 2 people from Love Island were walking through the Grove. You would have thought damn near Michael Jackson was alive and moonwalking through there. These people were going crazy. I'm like, what the hell is this? My daughters, we told you how popular it is. And I have never watched it. I've never watched it. Now, I did hear that Megan Thee Stallion came on there twerking one time, and I'm not down for that. I mean, meaning my teenage daughter's watching this stuff, but damn it, you know how it is. With all of these devices, all of the streamings, the stuff that you can watch on your phone, when you can watch on your iPad and your laptop and all of this other stuff, you can't watch every damn thing, no matter how hard you try. So, my daughters said, we tell you what we'll do. We'll start watching it if you do a favor for us. And I'm like, what's that? What's that? Because I don't want you watching the damn thing, but what I heard about it. They said, Daddy, you got to sit down and watch a season yourself. I said, what? He said, yeah, Dad. It's good. Everybody watches it, and it's going to help you because you're going to be more enlightened, Dad. That's what they're telling me. So after much pushing and prodding and stuff like that, I've agreed that at some point over the next week or 2, I'm going to sit in front of a television screen or a computer, and I'm going to watch Love Island. Because I ain't going to lie. I almost want to watch it because I'm sick and tired of hearing so much about a damn show that I never watched. And I literally was going like this. You sure you talk about the Love Boat? Remember the Love Boat? I thought they were talking about the Love Boat. And you got to remember, I grew up watching like Dallas and Dynasty and drama series like that. You know what I'm saying? And I absolutely positively loved Kerry Washington and Papa Pope and Scandal. I loved that stuff. But I'm hearing other things about Love Island. And I'm not sure I'm down with that. But they said, we'll start watching it for a week or 2 if you watch it and come tell us about what you thought about it. It will help you, Dad. It will help you. How? I have no idea. They say, identify with the young people. Whatever. But I gave my word, and I'm going to keep my word. So over the next week or so, I don't know which season it's in. I don't know how many episodes. I don't know. All I know is that your friendly neighborhood sportscaster, podcaster, YouTube show, and all of this other stuff in between. And oh, by the way, I got my show, my political show on Sirius XM, POTUS channel 124 on Sirius XM, debuting September 17th. That dude, all meshed into one, is going to sit in front of a television set and watch Love Island. Pray for me, y'all. Pray for me. As the saying goes from every man at some point in time in his life, I'm getting too old for this shit. But I'm going to try. I'm going to try. That's it for this special edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show. I'll be back with you in a couple of days or so. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Be safe. God bless. And enjoy your life to the fullest. I'll be around. It's about to heat up. Football season's coming. Football season's coming. And with it, so will me on television and 2 new shows on Sirius XM while I'm still going to be doing this show. So stay tuned. Stick around. It's the Stephen A. Smith Show in the house. Until next time, peace and love.